All right, let's dive into a concept that's quietly changing the game for AI in manufacturing. We're talking about industrial ontology, what some people are calling the brain of the smart factory. And we're about to break down exactly why it's so incredibly important. So here's the big paradox that so many industries are facing right now. Our smart factories, they're literally drowning in data. We're collecting petabytes of it every single day. And yet, for all that information, our most powerful AI models, they still don't really get what's happening on the factory floor. So what's the missing piece? Well, the problem really starts with the factory environment itself. It's this amazing hub of innovation, but it's also a place of total data chaos. It's an overwhelming amount of disconnected information. I mean, just think about it. Data isn't coming from one nice, neat source. It's a flood from all over the place. You've got your ERP systems handling the business side, MES systems for the live operations, PLM for all the engineering documents, and then, of course, a whole ocean of IoT sensors just spitting out raw machine data. Each one is telling a tiny piece of the story, but none of them are talking to each other. And that brings us right to the heart of the issue, which you can really think of as an industrial Tower of Babel. It's a scenario where every single system, every machine, speaks its own unique language. They're all creating valuable information, sure, but nothing connects. There's no common ground. And this is where it all becomes clear. You see, without an ontology, you're stuck on the left side of this picture. Separate languages, completely lost context, and data trapped in its own little silo. But when you introduce an ontology, you create that unified language. You get shared meaning across the entire factory. And you finally turn all that isolated data into connected knowledge, something an AI can actually sink its teeth into. So how do we fix this whole industrial babble problem? The solution, really, is to create one common language, a universal translator for the entire factory. And that translator is the industrial ontology. Okay, so what is an industrial ontology really? The simplest way to think about it is like a shared dictionary for your whole operation. It's a formal structure that defines everything, your machines, your products, your processes, in a way that everyone and everything can finally understand. But here's where the real magic happens. An ontology doesn't just define things, it defines the relationships between them. And that is what creates context and meaning out of all that raw, messy data. For instance, an ontology can spell it out in black and white that this specific machine has the relationship of produces with that specific product. Now, that seems super obvious to us, right? But for a computer, for an AI, that single connection is a revolutionary piece of logic it just didn't have before. Let's take another one. A sensor reading for temperature is just a number. It's meaningless on its own. But the ontology gives it meaning. It defines that temperature is a measure of the machine's performance. All of a sudden, that random data point becomes a critical KPI. This is how you build actual understanding, brick by brick. Okay, that all sounds great in theory. A shared language for data is powerful. But what does this actually mean for the business? What's the real-world impact when you shift from just having data to having genuine insights? Well, the business impact is massive, and it's almost immediate. Once you build an ontology, you've created a permanent, stable foundation of knowledge for every single AI project you do from then on. That means your implementation times get slashed, the ROI on your AI investments goes way, way up, and your teams can make faster, way more confident decisions because everyone is finally working from the same playbook. If you look at a typical AI project, a huge chunk of the time, sometimes more than half, is just spent cleaning data and trying to make sense of it. An ontology does all that heavy lifting for you once, right at the start. So future projects can just plug right into that layer of understanding, which, as you can see, massively accelerates the time it takes to get real value. And look, this isn't just some academic theory. This is a proven approach that's already out there, working in the real world. Established ontologies like IOF Core for manufacturing, MateRef Onto for maintenance, and ZBreak 4 for predictive quality, these are being used right now on actual factory floors. So if you're a factory, how do you actually go about building this layer of understanding? It really comes down to 4 key steps. First, you have to map out all your different data sources. Second, you define that semantic structure, the ontology, that's going to tie them all together. Only then, as a third step, do you build the knowledge graph with your real data. And finally, the last step is you connect your powerful AI algorithms and large language models. If you skip those first few foundational steps, even the smartest AI in the world is just flying blind. And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. An ontology isn't just another system or another data layer you have to manage. It is the understanding layer. It is the critical bridge that connects your raw, meaningless data to your intelligent systems. It's what lets your AI stop just computing and start truly comprehending. So the final question you should probably ask yourself is this. When you look at your own operations, at your own data strategy, is your AI just crunching numbers, or is it actually beginning to understand the world it operates in? Because the difference between those two, well, that's everything.